Hey, welcome everyone. My name is Alan Sanders. I'm here with Fred Kittle, who is running for the chair of the 11th District. Fred, welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. Good to be here in this building. I remember the chamber had a lot to do with this. Very green.
So, running for the chairmanship of the 11th District for Georgia, why? Why do you want to run for that position?
It's interesting you say that because at first, when they announced that there were some open seats at the meeting, I wasn't considering at that time, but then after the meeting, I had two people come up to me and said, Fred, you get along with all the different groups and we have some issues, would you consider running? And I said, well, I'll think about it. Then I had several others give me a call, and I thought, well, I think I can help with this because of the experience I've had over the many years running different large organizations and my political background, such as being on the committee in the 11th under Phil Gingrey all those years. And the only reason I left the committee was because I became chairman, well, not right away, but elected to the school board, which under party rules, you can't be an elected official and on the committee.
So you're running as an America First candidate. What does that mean?
Basically just what it says, America First in the policies. And I need to point this out. So the sole really main mission of the 11th District is to elect a Republican for the congressional seat, which we've had two really great ones. We had Phil Gingrey followed by Barry Loudermilk. And I've worked with his campaign for many, many years since he started and when he was chairman here locally of the party.
There are different views within the GOP on which direction, which faction to sort of follow. What qualifies you to sort of bring those voices together to work in concert in the 11th District?
I would say the experience of running many organizations with the same personalities. For example, probably one of the larger organizations that I was the chair of is the President's Team. And we immediately wanted to keep the focus on the presidency. One of the first things we did, we got with the Republican Party, the state party. So anytime you did an event with us, you qualified for points for the 5-star program, which they would give money to the top people that did events and different things. So we had major events all over the state, and we never had to take necessarily the lead on it. We would just kind of look and see what the event was about, and we would help fund it, but we were mostly in the background for most of them. Great example in Calhoun, which had a really large rally. It started with a lady from the ballet studio. She wanted to have a rally and had her circle of friends. She got with Kathleen Thorman, who was the chair of the Republican Party, and she got with her folks, and then she called us and said, Fred, can you help us with this event? So on our board was the guy that owned the Trump bus, so we arranged for the Trump bus to be there, and then the guy that was over the Bikers for Trump was in Rome, and so I called him, and he had the bikers come in, and then we had some awesome people in social media that was able, so we pretty much filled up the place, and again, we didn't have to take any. We were happy with the lady that got it started, we were happy with the GOP, and then there were some other organizations that set up booths too.
What do you feel like is your primary role as chairman of the 11th District? Obviously, you have an executive committee, you've got board members, there's several people, dozens. What's your chief responsibility as chair?
Well, as in most chair positions, the chair, for the most part, doesn't necessarily have more power, so to speak. He is the leader, but having said that, as far as what he can do, I would never do anything that was outside of what the board had voted on and went that way. For example, when I was on the school board all those years, I think one of the reasons we got along so well, I was never one that would run out to the media and yell about this or that, which unfortunately there's some of that going on in our party right now. There's some different factions, and the thing about the 11th, I think if we focus on the main thing, electing a Republican and keeping people informed, for example, this process now, I've had to really reach out just to be able to get information. And right now, I still don't know who all the committee members are. I know they're trying their weighting on the state, but as a chair, I would be more proactive and reach out, say for the 6th, for example, has members. And by reaching out to them, they know who's leaving and they know where they're going. So to me, it sounds like a simple process, so I would definitely be more open. I've always felt like you should let the horses run, which was a saying we used to use at the chamber, and the museum gave us pieces to hang all over with horses. But it's basically letting your type A personalities lead. Once everybody understands the mission, they'll surprise you on how big. I mean, our year, we had more people at every event than previously. All of our fundraising was way up. We were able to help all markets. We were able to help bring in new businesses into the community. So you just basically let leaders lead, but you give them the right parameters and mission, and make sure you're always communicating information.
So you see yourself as a facilitator, open to other ideas and discussion, but at some point someone's got to guide the ship with all of that input.
You're right. In fact, a great example that I'll never forget, Joe Harris, who was my interim and later became the chair of the chamber and president CEO. I was the chair of the board. He said, Fred, he said, I've never seen anybody get a unanimous votes like you do when you bring stuff to the board. And I said, Joe, there's a reason for that. If you notice, when I come up with something and put it, the whole board is involved, and I'm not one of these, if somebody suddenly calls the question, I just say, well, I'm not going to hear that right now. There's still some debate going on. And then everybody, has their input, and by the time it's over, it may not look like anything I started with. And even people that were dead set against it tend to vote for it because they had input and say, and everything was vetted. So it's just a better process overall. The one criticism, though, I remember Harnick Jennings said, be careful if you let Fred run a board meeting because they do go long sometimes.
Final thing I think I have for you, and this is more of your call to the constituents or the people that would vote for you, why vote for you?
I think it's very important because if we don't have somebody, and if there's a better candidate that can bring people together, vote for them. But right now, I think I'm the candidate that can bring folks together and work together for the common mission, because our main goal is to elect that congressman to the 11th district. And I think working together can and do have the experience of bringing large amounts of people together of different ways, and then a long history of raising lots of money when needed. I mean, did at the chamber for bringing the Republican Senate Trust 2 years in a row to there. I had to do it with private funds. I did have some great people like Chip Rogers' wife was a great help, and some others. I went to all of the local elected officials and local businesses and brought in the thousands of dollars necessary for that. And our last 3 parades, always done it jointly with the GOP and always raised money. We have some great folks here that always donate when I ask them. And it's phenomenal. We used to have maybe 20, 30 people, then we averaged 70 the last 3 parades. So.
And I'm guessing you're available to anybody who has questions about anything they've heard, if they want to poke something at you, or if they want to learn more about you.
Oh, yeah. In fact, on the card that I left on the doors of the committee, went door to door, and probably about a third weren't there at the time, so we'll do a round 2. But not only is my personal phone number on there, I've got my work phone on there, I've got the email address. I've always believed in openness. And now I may give you an answer sometimes, like we'll have to look at that. And the reason I say it that way is I learned early on in school board world, you need to see what all the views are on that, and then do get back with the person. For example, I was told, in the school system, somebody talked about their special needs child was failing a class, and then the next quarter they changed teachers, and actually was doing A's and B's, and then was failing when they got the new teacher and wanted to change classes to that same teacher. So, I said, well, let me see what I can do. And they said, you can't do that because then they'd have to do it for everybody. I said, well, everybody's not asking. Let's just find out. And it worked out really well. The principal and the superintendent moved the child. The child jumped right back up. And so a lot of times you can do solutions. You can't always think because of the way you've always done it, or if you have to do it for everybody, you just have to look at things case by case. Yeah.
Nice to hear that you're open to ideas, and not necessarily that this is how it's always been done before. Maybe there's a new way to do it.
That's right, and it's always growing and different. I mean, we're a different party now. We have a lot of new members that have different backgrounds, and we all focus on the main thing. And then people that, like Reagan said, if you agree with me 80% of the time, you're not my enemy.
Right.
So So definitely, we got a good group. They're great workers. I just think I can help better with the unity.
Excellent. Well, thank you for taking some time.
Well, thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. And thank you too, Dave.